so our lives aren't completely destroyed by what happened to us.
Now, keffals launched her GoFundMe on August 9, 2022 with an initial goal of $20,000. The page claims that if this amount was exceeded, the funds would be allocated to a legal fund to protect herself against ongoing and future threats to her safety. However, this was later changed to, I am keeping the GoFundMe up, but all donations are going directly to my legal fund, which I will be using to seek justice. Now, this is a very, very important distinction, because it means all the donations past the first 20 grand were explicitly for legal action. See, Clara gradually kept raising the goal until it reached over $100,000 on the 20th. If you want to be technical, it actually never ended, because she's still taking donations to this day. In fact, there wasn't even a fixed amount, which is odd, as it makes it seem like her goal was to basically raise as much money as possible rather than afford an intentional expense. Naturally, with her effort raising over $100,000, there were questions over how the money was spent. Claire has tried to poison the well numerous times by calling anyone who asks this question bad faith. I'll never do a GoFundMe breakdown for bad faith actors who neither support me nor contributed to the fund in the first place. Well, what if I gave money? Am I now allowed to ask? Ooh, that's a question we should bring up. You have to remember, this was a story that got mainstream coverage. There were over 150 articles published about the situation, including The Guardian, NBC, CNN, Bloomberg, the Associated Press, and Canadian state-funded news outlet CBC. Popular politicians like Jagmeet Singh of the NDP party took a stand by her publicly. Normies were led to believe a series of events that did not occur. And there are regular folk out there who don't have the time or capability to ensure their funds weren't misused, especially when there is a limited amount of financial support for at-risk members of the trans community. There is nothing wrong with questioning for transparency of where this money had went. In fact, more people should actually be asking where this money even went. Clara posted this photo in her Discord server, which was enough for trolls to bombard the hotel with pizzas. The next day, she uploaded a video declaring things had escalated and she was now in hiding. If you recall, another goal of hers was to move out immediately, after someone hacked her Uber Eats account and sent $500 worth of food.
So what happened, I woke up and I got an email that the email for my Uber Eats account was changed. And then I looked outside the door and there was like at least $500 worth of food ordered with my hacked Uber account. So I got doxxed again, except this time I also got hacked.
She expedited an already planned trip to Europe. Her rationale was that London police didn't have the resources to stop online trolls, and then she went live to provide further details.
Are you moving to Europe? I'm gonna be living there for a while, but I'm not moving there. My fiance is staying back in Canada, and I'm gonna be in the UK on my own for a while. I think that the current plan is that in 2-3 weeks of my stay, my fiance is going to be coming over and we'll stay together for a while. On Monday, I find out if I got approved or not for the new place that I want to live at, which will give us a really good time frame of what we're gonna do.
Her fans begged her to stop giving out information.
Stop giving out details. Stop telling me what to do.
Later that day, Clara tweeted, "Do I have any followers in Europe? Let me know if you want to meet up." Her first stream back revealed she was in Northern Ireland.
So, I'm okay. I am currently in Ireland. I am staying with a friend. I'm safe. Things are good. Don't tell people what country. It is completely fine. Do you know how dense Ireland is? Very dense country. I do not think it's gonna be a problem.
She was staying with a friend named Ellen. Her ex-fiance never moved over for reasons we're actually gonna discuss later. Ellen had already been doxxed months prior, and their apartment was found within 24 hours. And a troll took this photo outside their building. They were able to find her location just by using a doorknob. To be clear, I'm not endorsing any of this behavior or doing it, or even saying if you're careless, you deserve that this happens to you. My argument is that if you're willing to leave a continent to another continent to escape trolls, there is a lot you could do for less to mitigate the risk of doxing. For example, not buying equipment specifically for IRL streaming and announcing where you're going to be in advance. At one point, Ellen revealed they were going to go to visit a poutine truck in Belfast. The owner received bomb threats, which Clara used to tease an IRL stream on Twitter. Hey, maybe it's a one-off mistake, right? A day later, Ellen publicly fielded suggestions for future IRL stream locations in Ireland. I want to reiterate, if you are in hiding, why would you buy new streaming equipment specifically for streaming in the public, and then also share where you plan on going in advance? By her own admission, she wanted to stoke the flames in order to maximize publicity.
By intentionally making myself a lightning rod, so I could make kiwi farms more vicious and attack me to the point where Cloudflare had no choice. Because every time they attacked me, I publicized it. One of the things that I did intentionally for the success of the campaign was make myself a lightning rod. I egged them on. I egged kiwi farms on. I wanted them to attack me. Because by doing that, I was able to show the world how fucking vile they are.
In the past, streamers have been punished for similar behavior. Ice Poseidon was notorious for being a constant target of swatting. He was ultimately banned after streaming and getting swatted inside an airport, and while it wasn't his fault, at a certain point he was clearly feigning ignorance and enabling his troll's behavior for content. What makes Clara's behavior different, and what actually prevented her from staying in Canada? Well, if you think it's fucked up for me to question it, don't worry, because Keffals has since admitted that this entire cover story was all a lie. Nowadays, her explanation for leaving the continent was not to escape online harassment, but to escape her ex-fiancé, Alex, who she now accuses of being abusive. To not get too deep into it, this is after her ex-fiancé called her out for leaving to cheat on her with Ellen.
This is where I need to admit something. Last year, I was in the papers. This was on CBC, Canada's biggest media outlet. Twitch streamer and trans activist says she's leaving Canada for a while due to harassment. Earlier this month, Clara Sorrenti was the target of a swatting incident and has been doxxed and hacked. And there was a criticism that I frequently got throughout that time. How does moving to a different country help you with online harassment? And as we found out, it didn't. Because once I landed in Belfast, I had people showing up, making threats outside of where I was staying. And I knew that no matter where I went in the world, I would not escape online harassment as long as I was an online figure. And the truth is, I left the country because of my ex, and because I was scared of my ex. Because my ex was abusive and abused me emotionally and yelled at me and consistently coerced me into sex. That's why I left. But I couldn't tell anyone. I didn't want it to be a big thing. I didn't want it to be in the papers while all the journalists were circling around and writing their stories. I didn't want that to be known. I didn't want any of this to ever be out in public. So here's
Her escape basically amounted to a paid-for vacation across Europe, evident by a leaked post from her closed Twitter circle on September 14th. Clara reveals she was staying in Ireland until the 27th, then heading to Spain until the 11th, before moving into her apartment on the 12th. Now the dates imply that she had already just bought tickets, but she ended up in London instead to watch a play. Clara then briefly returned to Ireland before flying to the United States to attend TwitchCon. Not only did she stream the event IRL, but she even antagonized Destiny's ex-wife for being married to him.
Keffals went to go, and she went up to Melina, and she was shaking. Like, it was like she was so anxious or so angry, she was shaking, right? And she said, "Tell your husband, if he doesn't stop coming for me, I'm going to get his YouTube channel deleted." No memes. That happened, okay?
So Keffals moved into her new apartment on October 12th and used some of the GoFundMe money to pay for a full year's worth of rent in advance.
So just a quick update. I have an apartment for October. I'm moving then. I have it. I've already paid I'm putting it, like, I'm using the GoFundMe money to pay an entire year in advance.
Now, which is not something she ever said she was gonna do, and a huge departure from just moving. Clara moves into a luxury apartment, and with a low approximation amounting to $28,000. So far, Clara has admitted to spending the money on new devices, as well as equipment for IRL streaming. She traveled across Europe, planning to visit Spain from Ireland, but ended up at a play in London instead. She then flies to TwitchCon in the United States before getting an apartment in Canada and then paying an entire year's worth of rent. There she bought even more equipment to build a professional set with studio lights. While it's difficult to make an exact calculation for this, the gaming chair alone, her gaming chair, would have cost over $2,000.
I had to take extra caution with the set that I made. It's not even a set, it's just like part of my home. But it is basically a set. I have like studio lights, I have like whole camera thing, it's very professional. So I had to go through all of this as soon as I got back from TwitchCon to make sure that I could just like return to my life before I was swatted.
But see, that wasn't the only thing she admits to spending some of this GoFundMe money on. Clara also says she contracted a security company in September to keep herself safe.
I consulted with a security company, and they made all of my devices hack-proof, and they gave me tips on not getting doxxed again. They also helped me with a whole bunch of other stuff that I can't talk about because I signed an NDA, like a non-disclosure agreement. I already hired a lawyer, and all of the information between me and my lawyer is privileged and confidential, and I can't talk about it. So the money towards a legal fund is being utilized, but until the point where I can actually talk about what I'm doing, I can't say anything. So I use the money to find a place, to contract a security company to keep myself safe, and to hire a lawyer.
This raises an interesting question on what the security company was doing beyond making her devices hack-proof. That same month, she confronted a prolific member of the Kiwi Farms thread. Keffals tried to intimidate the user with their personal information, claiming to have hired a private investigator. I know the PI will get me more though, he's still talking to the family and school officials. This didn't work because they doxed the wrong person. The user mocked her and asked if she paid for the PI using her GoFundMe. Clara responded, "No, the GoFundMe is currently in savings until I need to use it." In case you doubt the authenticity of these messages, Clara has confirmed that they are real several times. And I don't know about you, but hiring a private investigator so you can confront trolls with bad info doesn't sound like the action of someone in fear of their life. Her messages also contradict a tweet where she says $50,000 was already put into the legal fund. The final thing Clara mentions in that stream clip is using the money to hire a lawyer. What's interesting is that by her own words, she already had a lawyer and was consulting two more. The day after the GoFundMe had launched. It was one of her earliest responses to criticisms over reportedly raising her goal.
Yes, I'm using these funds to move, but more importantly, once I'm safe, the rest of those funds are going to be used for legal expenses. Because I'm not just moving, I'm also taking legal action. I already have one lawyer, and I'm consulting with two more. I'm going to get justice for what happened to me, and for every other marginalized person in this country who has been victimized. Legal fees are incredibly expensive, and I feel very fortunate that I was able to raise this much money, because I would not be able to take legal action if it wasn't for that.
This is strange in retrospect, as only 12 days later, she made it very clear she was holding off pursuing legal action against the London police.
After it first happened, I was very mad at the police, and I wanted to hold their feet to the fire as much as possible. I wanted to even potentially pursue legal action against them, but they've taken the threat against my life very seriously, and I want to see justice. There's a lot of leads right now, and they might actually be able to catch the person who swatted me. And with what is going on and the connections to kiwi farms, knowing that they're monitoring the thread, we might actually see something happen.
Now, at around the same time, she told the Kiwi Farms user the money was in savings. She claimed she never said she was going to sue the police.
Yeah, that's all I said. I never said that I was going to sue the police. I wanted to be very careful with the language that I used because I don't know exactly what the plan is. I know that I'm eventually going to take legal action in some way or another, but I don't know yet, and I can't talk about